Hello there, I'm Matthew Mo on this Eco Livery blog, and yes, I'm going to be speaking about the reason why I'm here. Yeah, the client education resource to be in school 2020. Yeah, it's going to be in the school curriculum here in New Zealand. And yes, in this picture I noticed something. I'm going to draw something there and right there. The hand and circle. You know what that is a symbol of? Communism, people. The hand and circle. And there's a funny picture says, trust the science. And you know that it's not based on science, it's based on a communist agenda. And that's the reason why I'm speaking about, because it's going to be in schools in New Zealand, and with the first term school in 2020 here in New Zealand, in this new decade, the commerce, it's going to be in there, and the first term is only 10 days away, so that's the reason I got to speak about it. So if you're a parent, it's probably best you keep watching this, because you know that's what's going to be taught to your children, is that. Well, let's get to there we go. It's going to be taught in our schools, and the minister, the climate change minister James Shaw, and education minister Chris Hickens announced Sunday that text video guidance for teachers will be available to all schools, not just one or two, but all schools in New Zealand. Following a pilot program at Christchurch, South New Brighton School in 2018. It's already there, and it says, can't change to be prepared today, live without tomorrow. In the communist dystopia. They want to tell us all good and trendy would help students to understand the effects on climate change on local and national on a global scale. Hickens said, and boy, this is indoctrination, people. That's the reason why I'm doing this video, and that's the reason why I'm speaking up, because very few New Zealanders are willing to do that. And yet they're just trying to tell you, there's the headline says no time to delay. Well, well, it's just, well, boy, look at those brainwashed people. Oh, good grief. And and there's the poster girl there, being pushed by the elites, that's the poster girl, and and there's the fellow that's going to bring it into our school curriculum in New Zealand, and boy, that's why I'm speaking out, and of course, he's probably there's that prick James Shaw trying to tell us, say, oh, it needs to be in our school because the sea level's going to rise. And we're all going to die. It's just to push the fear propaganda. And and these are movies they'll be shown to our children, like Al Gore's movie there, the Inconvenient Truth of Global Warming. That's Al Gore's movie in 2006. And of course, his predictions being wrong. He said that the polar ice cap in the North Pole is going to be gone, going to be ice free like in 2013, and today there's still ice. There's still ice. And there's Leonardo DiCaprio's movie Before the Flood, and that's going to be shown to our children here in New Zealand. They're going to show those movies to them, and they're going to be brainwashing, and the climate strikes is all about indoctrination, not science, and they want to tell it's all about science. No, it's it's a doctrine to push the communist agenda. Yeah, communist agenda, people. Climate alarmists is pushing the green education indoctrination. Well, you can just give away the education because it's called indoctrination, because education is about informing people. Indoctrination is about forcing it upon children. And yet, climate alarmists have worked directly and partially to undermine the teaching of science, of sound science, the scientific method, and the critical thinking in America's primary, secondary, and college classroom. Climate alarmists want to indoctrinate American youth, turning green robots loose onto their parents around the world. And yet, it's not just America, people. It's global, people. Yet they like to push it. Yet the Agenda 21, it's all about pushing it onto our bringing forth the Agenda 21, the Agenda 2030, and also a one world government. That's what it's all about, people. And it's all about scaring us into submission. That's what it's all about. And back to the James Shaw clashed with Sean Punkler over teaching of climate change in school, and you know wonder why. And there's I've got to find it here. It's in the paragraph there, and because the minister had passed a zero carbon bill, which it's all about. It's all about. Be sure we trust us. That IPCC. That's what the media wants us to trust. Is them. Don't look at other sources. Trust us. If the Earth shows it warmed about 2 degrees over 1,000, will go extinct. It's just. And if it does come, well, it's not going to, because sun is the main driver of climate change. That's the reason why I'm wearing this t-shirt from Adapt 2030. And the reason why I'm wearing that, because it's not CO2, it's not it is the sun. And yes, people, it is the sun. And they say, if the New Zealand mass will say the world's lacking the action on content, well, there's no need to take action because it's not an issue, and the public sure that, the public sure, ask sure what school course will include, it will tell students to become vegan and destroy the agriculture economy, yet they want us to go vegan. It's not to make us healthy. It's about depopulation, people. Depopulation, because we're humans, we need to eat meat. Grass-fed beef, meat, grown grass-fed animals that have been raised healthily and that though, and these are what gonna be taught along our kids, and these probably will be picked by and will be supported by including NASA. I do have one for the NASA website. It's called Carbon Fertilization Greening the Earth Studies Found. So CO2 actually greens the Earth. And raising CO2 levels greening the Earth. And you can find that it's not actually even harming the planet. It's helping the planet. So James Shaw, that's my message to you. You can just suck it. You can just suck it because you're pushing the Yeah, and there it is. What I was looking for. We will teach things like the difference between weather and climate, as well as sea level rise, impact on the effect of agriculture. Well, we know that the sea level is not going to be affected because it hardly ever rises. You can see that, people. Look at that. For in the past, for in the past more than 20 years, the sea level ever hardly rise. Look at that. And there's the line. And there's, I know there's a bit of fluctuation. And there's a rising CO2 level. It's not affecting the sea. It's not affecting people. They want to tell you it's affecting it, but it's not. Yeah, see, because it's all about, yeah. And they tell you, yeah, they tell you, oh, they tell you it's all going fine. Oh, it's probably because of all the spring tide and that, and it happens to be a flood and that as well. Yeah. And yet, there's me there, they're just trying to tell you, it's going to range by like about a meter or 2 meter rise. It's just to scare you, people. It's just to scare you. And that's why, if you're going to look on mainstream, is be careful not to just believe, because if you're just going to accept what they say, you're being misinformed. And me, I just go through what they got to say in that though, and I do underline it and see what they're saying, and they're to expose the lies. That's what I'm there to do. And they want to scare your children to into the elite's agenda. And his boy is being pulled out from the school because of all that green indoctrination, and his father was like right about no, good idea. Keep your children away from from that doctrine, because it's not there to help the children learn. It's there to indoctrinate them. And and there it is. Here, there's that protest, all the brainwashed people as well. They're all brainwashed, but like his father, he pulled a boy out of school. Good on him, because you know that it's going to undermine it. It's going to make him afraid. And for what this father did was a good idea, and I do honor that. And that's what every parent should do. Pull your students out if they're going to teach those to your children. And let's just move on here. And and they say, oh, we are going to die. 7-year-old was terrified after being shown Greta Thunberg time change video. Yet they got absolutely petrified after watching the video. And boy, don't let your children watch any of those. Crying out loud. It's all about scaring them into accepting the communist agenda. That's what it's all about. And that's what it's all about. And they say climate despair is making people give up life. And people, we need to enjoy life, not to be subject into fear. We should supposed to be enjoying life. I'm going to say it again, people. We're supposed to be enjoying life, not being subject to fear. And now it's time to move on what they should be really teaching to our children. And I happen to found this on Facebook. Don't just teach how to count. Don't just teach kids how to count. Teach them what counts most. Kindness, faith, gratitude, resilience, courage, effort, integrity, lightness, and generosity. And I bet the list goes on. And yes, we should probably be teaching our kids one of those as well. It's not here. Don't just rely. If you're parent, don't just rely on schools. Teach them what you know and encourage them to be the better you. And yeah, another thing what they should be taught in school, yeah, gardening. Gardening with kids, how to create garden for school age. Yeah, because growing food is going to be important, especially with this oncoming solar movement. And yeah, because hard times going to come and food's going to become expensive. And yes, children should be learning how to grow their own food. And this is very important to our children. And this is very important to our children here. And it is right there. And should children be taught how to grow their path to school? Of course. Growing your own food is going to be very important. And every child should be learning how to do that. Because things are going to get hard in the future as well with the oncoming solar amendment. And there's reason why I speak about it, because they're not going to, because the mainstream media is not going to encourage children to grow their own food. You hardly ever get that from the mainstream media. And also another thing they should be encouraging our children, waste management, people. Yep, waste management. The waste management school, yeah, teaching how to separate waste, refuse waste, yeah. And also reuse waste and recycle waste. But recycle, yeah. Compost organic waste, yeah, of course, compost, it creates a beautiful fertilizer. Composting is also a good thing as well, because because we're in casting, man, it's the ultimate fertilizer as well. Yeah, because you can use the juice to water around your plants, and the plants just go nuts. And burning waste, yes, I know, but burning waste, it depends what you're actually going to burn, so make sure you're going to be burning organic waste, not like hazardous waste, because yeah, you got to be able to do things properly. And that's really it. And yeah, even school cleanup days, and boy, I can remember one time I was actually in detention at school. I was actually made to pick up rubbish. Yeah, pick up rubbish, people, and yeah, and which is actually a quite good idea, and yeah. And also when I was in primary school, and when the school was an absolute mess, the whole school, every child around school had to clean and pick up rubbish. And yes, boy, and yeah, no, that's a good idea, people. And it makes us to be clean, and boy, people, for me, I don't want to really see rubbish around there. It's around each time I see them, sometimes I'll pick it up, put it in the bin, because I do want good clean air in the town that I do live in as well. And yes, and also like those kids there, and yeah, tons of rubbish from the Christchurch urban waste, and you can see those, yeah, more than 800 people from 42 organisations. Yeah, they all clean up, the mother of all clean up events, and boy, a lot of more than 5 tons of rubbish. Yeah, it's 5 metric tons. And yeah, in 3 years as high as 20 metric tons. Oh boy. And they say, yeah, boy, it just gets even better, because how much they clean up around it. And yes, we want to, yeah, because they were real conservation. They do want good clean river that we can swim in. And yeah, and they are the real environmentalists, the real ones, the true green, because they're actually doing something. Yeah, and that's how it should always be taught, and that should be taught in schools as well. So, and yeah, it's despite that they always want to use what actually happened in Australia with all that firestorm as well. Yeah, it's all about pushing the global warming agenda. And yes, because the good news is that with the rising CO2 level, it's actually greening the world. I showed that to you before. You can see there's a lot of green, more green than weeds. I know there are some weeds in some areas. You can see a lot of green around Amazon there, and yeah, it's actually, well, there's some weeds on the side, but there's also some greens there, and yeah, that's a little know that, yeah, and also it looks spectacular when you grow on buildings, and yeah, because a source of carbon dioxide makes plants grow, and boy, if you actually have a chili and you want to catch the CO2 for a greenhouse, you can actually grow food in there. That's also an idea, and it makes the boys more beautiful as well. And if you got issue of CO2 in your area, well, do this: grow more plants. It will absorb all the CO2. Yeah, absorb a lot of the CO2. But they may only absorb a certain amount, but it will actually create a more lush, beautiful green. Yeah, that's growing on buildings. And yeah. And yes, and also the good news of Australia, and you can know that the plants actually coming back. Yeah, because with all the fire they had in Australia, plants actually starting to regrow. And boy, that's actually back in the 8th of January. That's almost 10 days ago since this article, yeah, was posted. And boy, Hunting Forest shows Aussie bushes regrowing. And boy, look at that. Yeah, look at those trees. Yeah, because the heat from the fire cracks the plant's hard seed. And yet, you gotta know that seeds, they need fire to crack open for the seed to sprout. They need the fire. Otherwise, they're just not gonna sprout. And boy, it's spectacular. And man, it's already regrowing. And to know that, boy, look at that. This is just how nature, nature always has a way of life. It really does. Even if a bushfire, all the winners, all the level have been leveled, life just begins again. And it just really debunks the climate alarmism. It's just, yeah, it's just beautiful to see how nature really works. It really does. And the good news is, yeah, because we don't have to be frightened with all that, say the earth is going to burn over because it was got too hot. So the times that the earth had got warmer as today, and there's a graph there, and there's a source over there as well, and yeah, there's times that, yeah, there's today, and you can see the medieval warm period. It actually is warmer than it is today, yeah. And also saw slightly warmer than it was today, the Roman warm period. Yeah, because yeah, then they've got the Dark Age cooling and the Little Ice Age, and this ties that the Earth has been warmer and cooler than it was today. And what is the driver of those temperatures? Yeah, there it is right here. I'm hearing it. It's not, yeah, it's not CO2. It's not your, it is the sun. Yeah, the sun is the main driver of climate change. And boy, people, I think that's all I got to say for now. So, this is Matthew Miller signing off, over and out. And now on this bonus video. And yes, I'm going to be speaking about the Dutch inventor launched a ocean cleanup mission. And yet, this is the bonus video. I tend to like to save the good things for last. And yes, and who was the student? So yeah, Boyan Slot was the regular Dutch high school student. He went off on a diving trip to Greece in 2000. Once on he was surrounded by plastic waste, and there was more plastic bags than fish. Oh boy, yeah. And do you know what? And when he said it, but he didn't like moan all that though. And the fact is, he came up with solutions. Solutions. Yeah. He came up with solutions. And there it is. And yeah, I'm not going to really watch that, but I'll have a link down there below if you really want to watch it. And how he will get rid of oceans of plastics. And yes, people, I'm going to leave it up for you to, if you really want to watch it. And I'll have a link down there below. And yes, despite all the trial and errors, he'll soon start making an impact in the world. Yeah, for what he's doing could really work. And yet the garbage collecting coastline in the water, and yet see people, there's the solution. Yet see, at least the 16-year-old, he's working on solutions, and I don't see much getting mentioned in the mainstream media. Like Greta Thunberg, she gets mentioned a lot, but not the 16-year-old inventor. He hardly ever gets mentioned. And that's why I'm talking about it, people, so you can come up with your own conclusion. And yeah. And he also was on Joe's Rogan show. Yeah, Joe's Rogan show. I'll have a link down there as well, so you can watch it as well. And well, yeah, and yet now he's a real inventor, coming up with solutions because he saw it. And boy, what if I could come up with a solution that could actually one day, soon, that our oceans could one day be free of plastic. And yet, he's probably one that's probably leading the mother of inventions of reducing plastic waste. And oh boy, it's just such an awesome sight to see if that works. It took time and effort, but he was really, so one that's going to really show a great impact. And I'm going to leave it for you to make up your own conclusion, and that's all I've got to say for now. It's Matthew Miller, sign off, over and out.